when I tell them, hey, I never wanted to speak in public. I lost an eye to cancer when I was 5. I never wanted to get up in front of people. I am doing the thing that was the most terrifying to me, the thing I opted out of in high school. I opted out of speech. I said I'm handicapped. My classmates called me Cyclops. They called me Cyclops. I know, but here's the thing. God never called me that. And God never called me handicapped. And God was like, baby girl, we're going to make you face that fear and you're going to be free.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Backstage with Randy Phillips. I am Randy Phillips, and I am thrilled today to be joined by the incredible Lisa Bevere. Hello, Lisa.
Hello. I'm so thrilled to be with you. I love Backstage.
Well, you know,
it's like
kind of
secret
go
access.
back
Yeah, I like
back
it.
there. And as we're doing this podcast, it's Mother's Day.
Yes.
You just spoke for a full house. And then here you are doing a podcast. You're going to speak again, go jump on a plane. And you've been doing that sort of routine for 40 years.
Yes.
Where does the energy come from? Where does the passion come from?
The grace of God, and I tend to be full on, full off. So tomorrow, no one's going to talk to me.
Off.
Yes, off. Completely off. Walking around.
Pajamas.
Yes. Yeah, just maybe not pajamas, but no makeup.
Okay.
Just whatever it lasted. Yeah, I know how to be fully on and fully off.
Right.
So I actually love the rhythm of being fully engaged and then being fully disengaged.
Okay.
It's very different for you guys that are pastors. You don't ever disengage. So I get to come in, minister, and then leave. And of course, I work with my team and then my family. So.
And about your family, you showed us some pictures.
Yes.
And, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So 5 sons?
4 sons.
4 sons.
Sometimes it feels like 5 with John, but yes.
There's John.
4 sons and John. Yes.
Which is 5 sons.
Yes.
And how many, did you say 8 grandchildren?
I'm expecting my 9th.
9?
Yes. We have 8 on earth and 1 in heaven. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's, and I love the way you included the one that the Lord holds in his hand.
Yeah.
Because as I've pastored people, when that happens, they just,
so painful.
Kind of don't want to refer to it. I love how you referred to it. I love how you include, was it a little boy or
little
girl?
boy? And they named him. And the hospital that she went to, they actually did a memorial service for all the moms that had lost babies in a certain time period. And so he's very much alive. He's more alive than actually all of the rest of us.
And you'll pick
he's
right
in
up.
Eternity. Yes.
So what was that like for your family? Your family to go through that? Did everybody have a different way of handling it?
It was devastating for my son and daughter-in-law, and we just all, we all mourned, but we didn't mourn without hope.
Right.
There's this book that I read a long time ago. It's written by a woman in Australia, a pastor's wife in Australia, who had lost a baby, and she said the name of the book was called Jessie Found in Heaven, and it was this beautiful pictorial of that our children are not lost.
No.
They're found in heaven.
Yes.
And that has been kind of this book that has spoke to my life. My mother had me. She had 3 miscarriages, then she had my brother. So I have 3 siblings in heaven that I'll get to meet one day.
Isn't that great?
So that's kind of that whole idea. I feel like whenever you go through loss, it punctuates the reality of eternity.
No doubt.
You were talking about that you guys are both missing your mom.
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah, my husband, this is his second Mother's Day without his mother. And, my mother passed, I think, in 2015. But still.
Yeah.
You still think, and then you realize, I can't pick up the phone.
I know.
Yeah.
I still want to do that. Yeah. And early on in my mourning my mother, the people tell, your mother's in a better place, she's with the Lord. That didn't comfort me right at first. I don't know how you experienced it.
Yeah.
But after some time, now I have such great comfort in that. But early on, did you experience that, or were you like, was it immediately like, my mother's with the Lord, I'm going to see her again?
It was crazy, Randy. Well, my mother was still alive. I was walking on the beach in Florida, and I picked up a seashell. And the sun was going down, and I looked at the seashell. I put it positioned it over the sun so I could look at the sunset. And when I put the seashell over it, it had this beautiful coral color. And my mother loved the color coral. Oh. And I immediately thought of my mom, and I said, oh, this is my mom's favorite color. And I heard the Holy Spirit say, I am breaking the bonds of earth off of your mother. Oh. He said, you will not see her again until eternity. And I was like, what? So I wrote it all down. I sent it to my brother. And the day that I was flying to go see my mother, the plane was delayed in its takeoff, and she died before I took off in Colorado Springs. And so there was a comfort. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that I didn't mourn. Yes. And I just gave myself over to the grief for 7 days. Now, I had a different relationship with my mother than maybe you had with yours. Okay. It was very broken. Oh. Now, I had gone and seen her, and I had felt like I had said everything. But I think my grieving was over loss, opportunity. And, I think that is something that I will always want to share with other people so they don't have that same grief. Oh. Yeah.
You've overcome so much.
Yeah.
I want to be cognizant of your time, but
no, you're fine.
I just have admired you and your husband for so long. Even as a child. Yeah. Was your mother? Where do you get your spirit?
My craziness from my
fighter.
I get it from my dad.
Your dad.
I get it from my dad. Yeah, my dad was 100% Sicilian, so that probably explains a lot right there. My mother was British, so there's been some tempering, but yes, no, the fire is definitely from my father. Okay,
and so you said your husband is Italian, you're Italian, but
he's Italian and I'm Sicilian. So very, I didn't know there was a difference. And when John introduced me to his mother, he said, Mom, she's Italian. And his mother shook her head and said, nope, she's not Italian. She's Sicilian. And I was like, what does that even mean? So I actually have dual citizenship. I don't know if you know that. Yes. Wow. Yeah, so I have Italian citizenship and U.S. citizenship. But Sicily, everybody thinks that Sicily was always part of Italy, but it wasn't. It actually was part of the Unification Act when Great Britain backed Italy and they invaded Sicily. Whoa. So they took over it. Yeah, so it used to be its own kingdom till the 1860s. So,
well, I love what you said about you and John, that he'll feed you, but you'll
kill people. Yes, I said Sicilians are known for killing people. Italians are known for feeding people. And I have had people that are like, stop saying that.
Oh, no,
Sicilians. And I was like, no, that's what we're known for. And when we stop killing, I'll stop saying that. Yeah. Every people give a contribution, and unfortunately, the Sicilians has been the mafia. So I'm just going to say it.
Okay. So you started out like, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but when you were a little girl, 5?
Yes. So when I was 5, I was running around with a flashlight. We had a power outage, and I was running around with a flashlight, and my mom saw a tumor in my right eye. And she was just like, what in the world? And she had noticed, Randy, something was off with one of my eyes. She took me to the doctor a couple of times, and they're like, we're not seeing anything. So my parents rushed me to the ophthalmologist, and he said she has retinoblastoma. They rushed me to Riley Children's Hospital in Indianapolis, and the doctor was like, her eye needs to come out tomorrow. And I was like, what? And of course, at 5, all I was concerned about was, I don't want to get a shot. That was all. I was like, am I getting a shot? That's all I asked the whole way down there. And they're like, well, actually, we're taking out your eye. And I was like, what? I'll take the shot. But so they removed my eye. My goodness. Instead of fear coming in, anger came in.
Yes.
I felt violated.
Yes.
I felt like my choice had been taken away.
Yes.
I remember even thinking, I don't really think this needed to happen. I don't know why they would have taken out my eye. I felt betrayed by my mother and my father. Why would they let somebody take out my eye?
Yes.
And it wasn't until, I want to say, I'd had my third son, that the anger, I dealt with the anger, but after I had my second son. And behind the anger, I found out that I was afraid.
Oh.
And that fear was rooted in unbelief. That I believed that God was good for everybody, but not for me. And I remember I started to cry out to God, set me free, set me free, set me free. I don't know why I'm now fighting fear. Because, when I realized this ungodly anger that I was in the habit of doing is not constructive, not constructive to my marriage, to my children, to my relationships. Now I repented of that. Fear is there, heart condition behind of unbelief. And I kept saying, God, why am I this way? Why am I this way? And he said, you're asking the wrong question.
Ooh.
And he said, Lisa, you can spend your whole life figuring out why you're messed up, and you will still be messed up once you know why. He said, knowing why doesn't set you free. Knowing me sets you free.
Oh, my
And he
goodness.
said, you're going to need to know the truth with a greater intimacy than you've known the lies. And so he was like, think my thoughts. I was like, what are your thoughts? He said, my word. My word is my thoughts. And so I started to read the word. And Randy, it's so amazing. There was just like a day I was making my bed, and all of a sudden I flashed back to all the memories when I was 5. But I didn't flash back with anger or with fear. I flashed back with compassion for my parents, the hard decision that they would have made. That for the first time I thought, what would that feel like to be a mother and a father? And here, your daughter could die. We're going to give her 6 months to live. We should have caught this at 2. We have to remove her eye tomorrow. What would that feel like? Now, my parents' response to that, my dad became an alcoholic, and my mother mired into a place of depression. So I just felt alone with parents that were. So I was like, fine, I'm going to be self-sufficient and angry. And I took the path of my dad. By the time I was 21, I am convinced I was an alcoholic. I had started drinking when I was 14.
Oh, my goodness.
So when I heard about the love of Jesus, I grabbed a hold of it with both hands. And as you know, John shared the gospel with me on their very first date. And I was like, I want to do this. And he's like, do what? I was like, this Christian thing, whatever it is, I want to do it.
Yes.
And I've just loved the Lord and his faithfulness to me ever since. Yeah.
And those experiences have given you the ability to speak into women's lives. I mean, men too.
No, but I do speak predominantly to women. And that is the thing is like, I remember when I first became a Christian, I thought, wouldn't that be cool if God healed my eye? And I just wake up and I have 2 real eyes. But the truth is, I probably have had more connection with people based off of loss and vulnerabilities than I ever have off of strength. And I have found, and I'm sure you've seen this as a pastor, I have found that people connect with us based off our challenges.
For sure.
And then they allow us to lead them based on our strengths. And so women who feel insecure or unattractive or whatever it is, when I tell them, hey, I never wanted to speak in public. I lost an eye to cancer when I was 5. I never wanted to get up in front of people. I am doing the thing that was the most terrifying to me, the thing I opted out of in high school. I opted out of speech. I said I'm handicapped. My classmates called me Cyclops. They called me Cyclops. I know, but here's the thing. God never called me that.
No.
And God never called me handicapped. And God was like, baby girl, we're going to make you face that fear and you're going to be free. So I love that.
Oh, Lisa, my goodness, I didn't know any of that.
I was surprised you didn't know that. Yeah.
I didn't. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
It was
and
so
obviously
inspiring.
I didn't die of cancer. I obviously didn't die.
Here.
And all of my boys have been clear, which is beautiful because they had actually told me, we don't know why. They think that my dad was in the Navy and he was on a chemical bomber. and he operated radar. And they think that he had a radiation exposure that caused a genetic mutation in me. And they told me that I probably was 100% cancer carrier. They told me that, they showed me my genes. It was hilarious. It looks like somebody came up to my 19th chromosome and kicked it. It's got like a broken leg. I'm like, what's that? Anyway, I'm like, oh, there's some things I wish I didn't know. But but my they said your kids are going to probably be cancer. They're going to have cancer. And of course, I had each of my boys checked when they were young. They did sonograms on their eyes. But here was the beautiful thing. When I became a Christian, I had a new bloodline. And I laid hold of the promises of God. And I said, you know what? I am going to inherit the promises of God.
Yes.
Not the pain, not the curses.
Yes.
I'm going to inherit the promises of God.
I love that.
And our boys are better people than we are. So, yeah, they're all wonderful.
I love you. And
oh, thank you.
You flew into Austin late last night.
I know, I was sad we couldn't do dinner. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's okay. So this morning you spoke, you're doing the podcast, you'll speak again, you'll jump on a plane, go home. Then you were in Detroit.
Yes.
Like before you came to Austin.
Yes. I'm doing a loop.
Where does the refueling, I know you said you can go on off, but what is your routine like? Okay, I gotta leave home. When we go sing, my group goes and sings. The 2 days before, I get in a bad mood.
Do you see now? So I have to be honest with you. I still love traveling and ministering.
What?
If I stop loving it, I'm going to stop doing it.
Well, I don't mind the ministry.
I don't.
It's
the travel. Well, and I do have routines. I never eat late at night.
That's why you didn't go to supper with us.
Yeah, because I basically don't eat after 6.
Whoa.
Because I don't sleep well. If I don't eat junky food. Your team gave me green apples and dates and figs. That's pretty much my world right there. And I try to eat really healthy. I try to sleep well. I only do caffeine in the morning. I don't do it all through the day. I'm not going to push through. And John and I, we do try to live a very clean life and rest well and play well. John is like totally pickleball champion man right now. Oh my gosh. He's on like 2 leagues right now. I think he was on 3 at one time. I was like, this is ridiculous. But we recreate.
Okay.
We laugh.
Yes.
We do family together.
Good.
I am Italian, so I have 2 of my sons and 6 of my grandkids a 30-second bike ride from my house.
Oh,
so
I love
family
that.
is big. I will be with you. And it's wonderful, and I hope I'm fully present here.
Oh, of
I'm
course.
not sad that I'm not with them.
No.
But I'll get on that Southwest flight back to Nashville, and I probably will fall asleep. And then they'll pick me up, and I'll go home and have a big Italian family dinner and celebrate my grandkids and my daughter-in-laws, and it'll be so much fun.
Oh, happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yes.
I'm going to read this, even though I'm not a godmother.
And the principles do work.
Oh, of course they do.
But men don't buy women's books. Did you know that?
Well, I'm going to read this. Now,
Thank you.
It's called Godmothers. What does that mean?
So, all right. We all need an older woman maybe, you may not. But here's the thing. Godparents was actually a biblical thing that the early church had.
Yes.
And what they did, because when Christians became like new believers, they were disowned by their families. And so mothers and fathers in the spirit would say, we'll be your godparents.
Yes.
We'll be your godmother. We'll be your godfather. We will affirm that you're a true believer, because back in the day, it was dangerous.
Yes.
And they would say, we're going to walk you through the hard things in life. We're going to be with you at the crossroads. And Randy, when I got saved, truth time, I didn't even look saved probably for 2 years. I mean, I was an exceptional heathen before. Like, I remember coming into church and thinking, oh, all these women have been praying for me. They've been calling me out of a kingdom of darkness into a kingdom of light. But when I walked in with my double pierced ears and a halter top, they were not happy. They were not like, oh, Lord Jesus, thank you. She's an answer to prayer. They were like, Why her ears don't pierce? Why doesn't she have a bra on? Is she? I mean, and so they didn't know what to do with me.
Yes.
And so there was no godmother watching for me. And I cried out. I said, God, my parents were married, divorced, remarried, divorced again. That's what my parents did. My grandmother married 4 times. I mean, we're talking about, I know what I don't want to do.
Yes.
But I don't know what I do want to
Yes.
do. And I cried out. I said, God, I need an older woman to help me because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And I remember crying out. And my husband tricked me into doing a women's meeting. And I was so mad at him. I said, I don't like women. And he was like, what? I was like, I don't like women. I don't trust them. I don't like them. And John was like, well, that's crazy because you are one. I was like, no, I'm not really like them.
No.
And he was like, what do you mean? I said, I have a man's brain and a woman's body. And John was like, I'm not comfortable with that. And so, I said, all right, but I don't have a mentor. I don't have any mother pouring into me spiritually. Yes. And when I brought that to prayer, God said, for you, there's not going to be one. He said, but everything you wish another woman would have been to you, you begin to be. Write it backwards. And so I sat down in some ghetto motel. And notice I said motel. You put me in a hotel. I was in a motel, and I sat down, and I talked about how she would talk to me, how she would look at me, how she would pour into me. And I dreamed. And so what I did with this book is I wrote out a pathway that I wish somebody would have done for me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to... When our fairy tales go awry.
Yes, when our fairy tales go awry, yes.
Is that the they lived happily ever after
Yes,
thing?
So, all right. So, in all honesty, I have been amazed that, and this is crazy, there's things called story arcs, and that's the arc of a story. Like it's, rise, fall, rise, or whatever. Yeah. And the story arc of Cinderella actually is the same story arc of our redemption.
Really?
Yes. And the story arc of Cinderella is in almost every single culture where there is a captive daughter rescued by a prince. And I just was in shock when I realized that there's mothers, and even think about Ruth and Naomi.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, Naomi was Ruth's fairy godmother.
Yes.
She was like, and again, I'm not talking magic,
no,
but a godmother is someone who says, listen, I know that your life is filled with loss, but I'm going to connect you with the kinsman redeemer. I'm going to tell you, an outsider, Ruth was a Moabitess. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, an outsider, how to become an insider. I'm going to pour into you when nobody poured into me. And so in a lot of ways, we hear David echoing Boaz's words over Ruth about the shelter of the wings, and that you'll come under the shelter of the wings of the Almighty. And so we need generations of older women and younger women to connect. Or you know what's going to happen? We have all these older women that are deep wells and treasures. They have deep lessons to teach us, and they're going to disappear.
They're disappearing,
and a younger generation's never going to hear their stories.
We despise it's the stage is for youth. Yeah. Get off the stage if you're a certain age. Go away.
But you know what's so exciting? I'm doing 2 youth conferences this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I still do youth conferences.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I think they're kind of like, hey, let's get a grandmother in the mix.
Well, I want you to get this book, Godmothers. You can go on Amazon or wherever
Amazon's great.
And
Free
get
shipping.
this book. Really get it. And don't just get one for yourself. Buy 2 or 3 extra copies and give them to people in your life that need to hear. What is a godmother? How do you become one? Why we need one? Oh, this is great. Lisa, a year from now, what will we be celebrating?
Well, I'm going to be celebrating 2 grandbabies, 2 more grandbabies. I believe people are waking up.
I do too.
I believe that we're going to stop the infighting, and we're going to remember that male and female is a power union.
Yes.
And we're going to stop making it a power struggle.
Yes.
I believe that mothers are going to be honored, and I believe fathers are going to find their way back to a place of love and leadership.
Yes.
And that is my hope.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. How can people get in touch with you if they want to book you? Listen, get this lady. She is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Where do they go?
You know, I like Instagram because people are nicer on Instagram, but I am on Facebook and Twitter, but I never go there. So, yes.
So, if someone wanted to book you, they just lisabevere.com or? Yeah,
Lisa Bevere, I think it's .org. But yes. Yeah. Okay. They might be both. Well, I don't know.
Get this lady, if she's still traveling or wants to travel, because she is phenomenal. She is a prophetess. She empowers your people, speaks the word of God over you. Oh, my goodness. Lisa, thank you for your life. You're a gift to the world.
Thank you, Randy. I'm honored to serve.
I love you. Let's go do another service.
All right.
Don't you love Lisa Bevere? I sure do. To find more of her resources, you can visit lisabevere.com, lisabevere.com, or find her on social channels at Lisa Bevere. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show to help spread the word. We'll see you next time.